I'm looking back on my footage for this video and I'm so sorry if I get really intense. That's just how much I like these books. But I just wanted to say everyone is allowed to have their own opinions, obviously. Just because I disagree with their opinions obviously doesn't mean theirs are unimportant. I mean, I'm only one person out of like thousands out there. If you don't like a book I recommend to you, then you don't like a book. Like, people have different preferences and I understand that. So I apologize again if I get really intense. One, because I was really tired when I filmed this, so I was just like, I was on aggression mode or something. And then two, again, I just really love these books and I defend them with my life. They're just a part of me, okay? But yeah, again, one last time, so sorry if you feel like I get too aggressive in this video. Hi everyone, welcome back to another video. So today I thought I could read 1-star reviews of my favorite books. I have a list here of some of my favorite books. The first one being Blue Lily, Lily Blue by Maggie Stiefvater. I kind of had trouble picking between all 4 Raven books. I thought maybe I should just read 1-star reviews of all the books in this video, but then I just thought that's too cruel for me. So I rounded it down to my favorite book in the series. And yeah, let's just get started. So I'm going on Goodreads to read the 1-star reviews. Oh my god, there's 1,275 1-star reviews for Blue Lily, Lily Blue. Okay, the first one, should I say names? I don't think I'm gonna say names. I'll be nice. This girl is saying pointless, 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 pointless like 100 times. I'm sorry, girl, but I disagree. This was like the turning point and everything, or like not the turning point, but like the beginning to the end. This book was the most intense. The last thing this was pointless. There were so many important things that happened in this book. Like, are you kidding me? This was the book where one of the main characters, Gansey, finally realized things couldn't end unless he wanted them to end. But yeah, I'm sorry. The last thing this book was pointless. Next one. This girl says Abandoned is the 3rd book and should have picked up pace, but it became more lackluster for me. Are you kidding me? I pretty much got a heart attack from this book. Like, this was the most intense book out of all 4 books in my opinion. This gave me an adrenaline rush. Like, there was hardly any action in this book, but there were so many things that just terrified me, where it just kept me entertained throughout the whole thing. Lackluster? Did we even read the same book? Okay, again, looking back on my footage, this next 1-star review, I get really aggressive. I sound like a psycho here. I am so sorry. The next one says negative 10 stars for you. My problem? Well, it's mainly the gray man and how everyone acts around him. He's one character. You can't judge the whole book based off of how people act around one character. It's not like this one man is the focal point of the whole story. Like the gray man? I forgot he was even in these books. Again, there was so much that happened in these books that was so important, and you're only focusing on one character that you don't like. Oh, I forgot to say in the beginning of the video, I'm not trying to like make other people's opinions seem unimportant. These are personally just my opinions of the book, okay? I don't mean to be like mean. Your opinion of the book is your opinion of the book. We can agree to disagree. Okay, I think I'm gonna read one more. I think this next one's a bit fair. I tried to find one that didn't absolutely infuriate me. This girl says, I know I am the minority, but there is little to nothing I liked about this first book. First of all, it doesn't feel like a complete story. Now, before you remind me of that, of course it isn't a complete story, as it is only part of a series. I will state my opinion that each book in a series should be a complete, satisfying story in its own right. I have to disagree there, because at the end, when I finished the Raven cycle for the first time, I just thought, wow, this is the end of one big journey. I don't think each story in a series has to be one whole story. In the grander scheme of things, it is part of one giant story. And then she says, second, there are simply too many POVs. Okay, that might just be preference right there. I do know quite a few people who don't like reading too many POVs because it gets confusing, and I get that. Personally, I like the multiple POVs because I like getting to know each character. I'm a very character-driven reader. And finally, third, the villains are not characters so much as caricatures. In a way, I kind of agree with that. Most of the villains in the previous books, they were a bit more, I don't know, they had a bit more feeling to them, I guess. In this 3rd book, you don't really know who the main villain will be until the end. So I think I kind of get what she means here, that they're more caricatures than characters, because for a while they're just there. You don't know their motives or anything. They just turn evil in this 3rd book, so I understand that feeling. Okay, I'll go on to the next book, Half a Soul by Olivia Atwater. Oh, I did say in the beginning I'm reading 1-star reviews of my favorite books. By favorite books, I mean like these can range from 4 to 5 stars. Half a Soul I gave 4 out of 5 stars. The reason I love this book so much was because of the romance in it. Okay, this girl says all of the characters in this are undeveloped and inconsistent. If I'm being honest, I kind of have to agree with that. The main character in this book was a bit confusing because she was supposed to be almost emotionless, but there were these rare moments where she would feel some sort of emotion. So I do get what she means by it being being inconsistent. Okay, and then she says Elias, her love interest, is wildly handsome with blonde hair and golden eyes and is an incredible asshole, but only, you know, because he cares too much. Okay, I loved Elias and Dora together, but she's not lying. That is kind of true. I'm not gonna lie, but most characters who kind of have like a heart of ice in the beginning are always like that. So I guess it is also just like a preference thing. Okay, next person. This next person, 1.5 stars. This is not accurate to the Regency era. The author clearly hasn't made much studying on it or just can't write it well on pages. Okay, I can't say too much about this one because I don't know too much about the Regency era myself, but there was this one other review by a person whose degrees are all in English literature, and she also said the same thing, that it wasn't accurate to the Regency era. I can't really say too much of whether I agree or not because I don't know too much about the Regency era myself, but obviously it is fiction, so there's gonna have some things that are stretched, but there's no harm in doing a bit more research on the time you're writing in as well. So in a way I do kind of get what they might be complaining about. Okay, yeah, all of the 1-star reviews are kind of the same if I'm being honest. Again, someone is complaining about the main male love interest. Turns out that he is in a bad mood only because he cares so much about the little children in the workhouses, and oh, can't somebody do something about this shameful class system. Yeah, I do kind of get what everyone's saying. I think I'll move on to the next book because these reviews for this book is pretty consistent. Okay, the next one is She Gets the Girl by Rachel Lippincott. Okay, wow. Both protagonists are pathetic, though at least in different ways. Molly can't walk down the street without getting in her own way and has the social skills of a drunk beagle, and Alex is a maladjusted weasel with terrible morals. First of all, these girls have a reason to act the way they do. Molly, I can relate to because I'm also socially anxious. I can hardly walk down the street, okay? Is this man gonna come in and insult me? Because I'll punch him. And there's also a reason Alex is the way she is, okay? She has a terrible home life. Her parents were terrible, for crying out loud. Like, she had no one who was there to properly teach her until she got out into the world herself and discovered just how bad her family was. You can't call them pathetic just because they didn't have someone to properly give them confidence or because they didn't have someone to properly teach them just how to live. Oh my god, another person. God bless my persistence for actually finishing this. The heroines here are one of the most insufferable people ever written. My anger issues cheering in the background. Molly has even worse attitude than Alex. If someone would punch me every time this girl judges someone, I would already be in resuscitation. Okay, first of all, when she met Alex, Alex was kind of rude to her. Like, I judge people all the time if they're rude to me, and I'm pretty sure most people do. Like, this girl was just trying to fit in, and then Alex comes in and insults her. Okay, I think I'm gonna read one more because with this one too, the 1-star reviews are pretty consistent. People are just complaining about the characters. Okay, this person is okay. This is definitely gonna be an unpopular opinion, but this dynamic was just not for me. I'll chalk it up to having been a while since I read YA and just not vibing with friends to lovers in general. That I'm okay with. It's just preference. If I'm being honest, I just wanted to find one review that wasn't complaining about the characters. Am I the only one who liked them? Next one is Skyward by Brandon Sanderson. Here we go. Okay, this person says the characters are all annoying. Okay, in the beginning, when I first read this book, I kind of have to agree with this person. I was very annoyed with the main character. She judged everyone so quickly, like based off of appearance or like based off of like who their family was, and that just annoyed me so much. But then gradually towards the end she got better, so I started liking her more. So I kind of have to agree with this person. In the beginning I was very annoyed with some of the character. Okay, yeah, they also say right here Spencer is a main character who's annoying as hell. Again, partially I agreed with you in the beginning. Okay, this person says, I'm sorry to say this, but the story did not catch my interest at all. I just found it very plain. I don't know, I seriously want to say something here. I don't know, this book gave me an adrenaline rush. I did not think this was plain at all. I don't know, maybe the story was plain, maybe I was just blinded by the action because I actually liked the action in this book. It gave me like an adrenaline rush, like my heart was pounding throughout this whole thing. I found it very exciting personally. Again, the 1-star reviews here are very consistent. It's just people saying they might have found the story boring, like they're falling into the minority, or they found the main character very annoying. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna go on to the next book. Next book is Legend by Marie Lu. Out of all the books in the Legend trilogy, this first book was probably my favorite, so that's why I picked it. And that's the same with the Skyward book. Okay, I kind of have to agree with this person here. The world building was surprisingly good, but there was an utterly predictable and pointless story about these two 15-year-old prodigies who are in love with each other for no reason except the fact that they are incredibly narcissistic and are essentially the same person. Okay, I kind of agree with this person. I did find the whole book very predictable, and I did find like the love story story kind of insta-lovey. If I'm being honest, I don't know the exact reason why I rated this book as high as I did. I think it was just the feeling I got from it, because I remember the time where like all these dystopian books were coming out and this was one of them. This year had been the first time I had read this book, and so I think it was just nostalgia's sake that I rated it as high as I did, because I missed all the dystopian stories, so I was kind of glad to get back into it with this book. Yeah, so I think I just rated this book this high because of like it was the reason I'm getting back into dystopian books again, like older ones. I'm not really sure if there's any newer ones that are coming out. Okay, next person. Okay, this person says, the biggest issue, the two MCs, June and Day, were written in such a blasé way and I could barely tell them apart. If it wasn't for the different fonts chosen for each POV, I wouldn't have been able to tell who was who. I don't know, I wouldn't say they were the same person. Like June was she was the prodigy of the Republic. For most of her life, she had been working towards that, to work for the Republic and to fight for the Republic, until one day she just finds out this big secret. So then she becomes like very hesitant on which side he's in, and I think the author did a good job of writing that hesitancy. And then Day, he knew the cause he was fighting for. He was very, I guess, straightforward about it. And can I just say, their lives were also completely different. Like June came from this rich family and Day came from like the poor sector, where he had to do everything he could each day just to keep his family alive, just to keep himself alive. I really don't think they were the exact same characters if you really think about it. And they also say this author's writing was robotic, monotone, and had zero emotion. I thought the whole time this story was so exciting. Like this author's writing is very fast paced, so then I just never got bored personally. I like fast paced writing because it always feels like something's happening in the book constantly. I don't know, maybe that's what the person means. Maybe they're just not into fast paced writing, who knows. Okay, they also say the plot was boring, predictable. Again, I kind of agree with that. It was very predictable, the entire book. I just thought it was entertaining, if I'm being honest. Even if I found it predictable, I was entertained the whole time. Maybe that's why I wasn't as bothered by it. I'll read one more. Okay, this person says, I hated this book for 3 reasons. 1, the font. One thing I just can't stand in books is a strange colored font. It takes willpower to plow through that. Day's perspective wasn't gold font. Yes, a gold font. No, just no. Okay, I guess that might be a preference thing. I personally thought color change in the font was cool. I mean, it was the first time I had ever seen that in the book, so I found it like really interesting. I didn't really think that changed my reading experience, but I guess it just depends on who's reading it. Second thing this person says is they didn't like the perspective changes. Okay, that might also just be a preference thing. Some people only like one perspective. I personally like the interchanging perspectives of like multiple people. Again, I like getting to know the characters. I'm a very character-driven reader. And then the last thing this person says was this was a typical dystopia. Yeah, that's probably true if I'm being honest. Like back in mid-2010s, most of the dystopian books did kind of have the same, where it's just like the Republic has multiple secrets. The main character was like somehow the chosen one or something. I don't know, they just find some remarkable, unthinkable way to save the day. The next book and the last book I have on here is Letters to the Lost by Bridget Kemmerer. When I say I absolutely love this book, I love this book. This was such a recent read for me, and yet I still can't get it out of my head. I did not want this book to finish at all. I love this so much, and it's so rare for me nowadays to find a book where I just never want it to end. So I think that's why I was so glad to find this book. I instantly rated it a 5 out of 5 when I finished it. Like I was so disappointed when I got to the ending, not because I was disappointed with the ending, because I was disappointed I didn't have any more to read. Like if I'm being honest, this book has a good chance of making it at the top of all the books I read in 2023. Like it was that good. And normally I'm not a romance reader. That's why this book being like at the top of my list here is like really surprising for me. Let's see here. Okay, this person says, I'm beginning to think I have a different idea of what's emotional because I am yet again baffled by the lack of intense emotions I was supposed to have felt reading this. I cried reading this. Or like my eyes watered. I felt the grief both of these characters felt. They were connecting with each other through the letters they were writing because of the grief they each felt when they had lost a family member. And like you just connect more and more with them as you read the book and why they feel the way they feel. Like it's just that feeling where you can't let go. This person must be emotionless. I don't know what they were talking about because I just want to jump into this book and give each of these characters a giant hug. Oh my god. This person says the two main characters had absolutely zero chemistry and you can't tell me that they ever liked each other. This was awfully predictable and writing like this is absolutely unnecessary. Excuse me. Okay, for one, romance books for the most part are always predictable, okay? I'm not trying to defend this book and say it's not predictable because it is. It's a romance book. Romance books most of the time are predictable. But when you say these two characters had no chemistry, I cannot accept that. It wasn't that they were only connecting with each other through their grief. They were also getting to know each other through these letters. Like they each understood how each other felt on a deeper level that wasn't just grief. The way I see it, they grew to love the things about each other because they saw things in each other that they couldn't see in themselves through their letter writing. Sorry, I'm really bad at explaining. I hope this is like sort of making sense. To me, it makes sense. Like in my head, head. I just can't get the words out. This person also says, not only did Declan and Juliet need therapy instead of each other, no, they also need someone to punch them in the face. I do agree about the therapy thing. They may have needed therapy. Declan and Juliet helped each other in a way that no one else could help them. Like, sometimes all a person needs is just to talk to someone who had a similar experience to them. And I think that's just what this entire book was about, honestly. They were able to save each other in a way that no one else could have. And no, they did not need someone to punch them in the face. They were kind of just blindsided by sadness, and that's really all it is. No one gets over a death that easily. Did I think they should have paid closer attention to how their friends felt? Yes, but at the same time, their friends knew how they were feeling as well, so they also understood why they were acting the way they were, and they just allowed them the time they needed to grieve. When they needed a reality check, their friends gave them a reality check. Ugh, sorry, I really hope this is all making sense. Like, words are not coming out right now. It's late and I'm so tired. Yeah, I think that's all I'm gonna do for today. This was interesting. I've never willingly gone to the 1-star reviews of my favorite books and just started reading them. I mean, that's basically torture for anyone who likes reading. But yeah, I think I'm gonna end it off here. I hope all of you enjoyed, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye!